Another week, another episode of My Adventures with Superman. What are my thoughts on this week's episode? Well, the beginning had me very frustrated. Very frustrated. And I think I've finally pinned down my top 2 issues with this show. And this episode made them very prevalent. My top 2 issues with this show are Lois's character. I think she's awful. And the way that Clark's powers work and don't work. So the episode starts out with, hey, Jimmy's missing. Clark and Lois have separately been trying to get a hold of him, to talk to him, whatever, and he hasn't been answering any of their calls. So Clark ends up going over to Lois's house and is kind of like, hey, I know you're mad at me, but we got to find Jimmy. I can't find him. I've already tried flying, this and that, whatever. Which, to me, was like, I get it. They're underpowering Superman. I get it. No X-ray vision so far. No super hearing so far. So, alright. Sure. I get it. He needs her super sleuthing stealth skills. Whatever. So they end up teaming up, of course, because of the big fight last episode. We needed a team up episode with them this episode, so they can overcome their issues and their problems and blah 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 blah. So they team up, and Clark is impressed with the way that she's, oh wow, he tells her, he says, I didn't know, how did you get so good at sleuthing in the forest and knowing what this is, knowing how to find that because of this and whatever. How'd you get so good? Oh, a forest camp I went to, blah blah blah. Clark says, oh, I didn't know that about you. And she turns around and tells him, and she says, yeah, that's there's gonna be a lot of things about me that you'll never know. Weren't you mad at him last episode because he didn't tell you he was Superman? Like, you were mad at him for keeping secrets from you, and now you're gonna not just keep your own secrets, but you're gonna tease him with it, of like, oh, well, I guess you'll never know. That's teasing. That's not being truthful or honest, or you're just being rude and inconsiderate and purposefully trying to that's literally a tactic, purposefully trying to hurt somebody and hide things from them on purpose so that you'll eventually get what you want from them, right? She's mad at him because he didn't tell her that he was Superman. So now she's using tactics like this of keeping her own secrets and purposefully now hiding things from him because he didn't tell her that he was Superman. It's a game. She's literally playing games with him. And that is, dude, I literally was yelling at my TV screen when I was watching this, and I was like, oh my god, Clark, abort, bro, abort. You get out of there, bro. This is a no-go situation, man. You don't want this. You got to get out of there. But anyways, episode goes on, and they have another confrontation about it, and she gets mad at him again for hiding a secret from her, and he's like, I didn't want you to get hurt. I didn't want this to happen. I didn't want that to happen, etc., etc. And now she goes like, this was kind of her like ulterior motive for like getting mad at him. Well, you kept this a secret from me. How am I supposed to believe anything else you've ever told me? How am I supposed to believe that your feelings for me were real? How do I know you weren't lying about your feelings for me? And I just, oh my god. They're not the same. They're not the same. He hid from you that he was an alien and that he was somebody that you were going after to expose. Why would he have lied to you about his feelings for you when that had nothing to do with the other secret that he was keeping for a perfectly legitimate reason? I just like, dude. And she continues to prove how horrible of a person that she is, because once again she's continuing to be mad at him. She's continuing to not just be mad at him, but tease him. You know, like well, I guess there's things about me you'll never know. You know, tease him, play games with him, play mental games with him. Dude, this is literally a horrible situation. And they're not tackling it at all. This to them is just, oh yeah, this is normal. This is how girls should be. This is how this should act. This is how. That's awful. It's awful. Anyways, Jesus, dude, this episode. So we fast forward and we find Jimmy was kidnapped by they keep saying like, you know, Bigfoot. It looks like Gorilla Grodd to me, but this becomes like an ally. So I don't know if this really is Gorilla Grodd or it is Gorilla Grodd and they just kind of turned him into a good guy in this show. I don't know, but he's a good guy. They kidnap him because he's in their territory and they thought of him as a threat, and then they find out he's not a threat, and they end up talking and befriending him, etc., etc. Well, while they're looking for Jimmy, Clark and Lois get attacked by these robots that they're not sure where they're from, and it's revealed that they are from Task Force X. That is, again, the people that are looking to try to kill Superman, etc., etc. And long story short, they end up meeting up with Jimmy again. They find the hideout, you know, where he was kidnapped to, and they find Jimmy. And Jimmy is mad at them, and then Superman begins to tell him that he's Superman. Jimmy knew he was Superman the entire time. And he's like, he's like, I just didn't want to say anything because I wanted to wait until you were ready to tell me. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. They were roommates. They are best friends at this point. I don't believe that. I have guy friends myself. If I knew one of my guy friends was Superman, I'd be like, dude, you're fucking Superman. I know you are. That's so cool. What? I don't believe that he wouldn't have confronted him. That's a huge thing. That's a huge thing. I don't believe that he wouldn't have confronted him. I don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't believe it. And I don't like how this show, at least for a majority of the part so far, has been like subtly making fun of the glasses disguise and messed up hair disguise by Jimmy knowing he was Superman the entire time, Lois finding out he was Superman very quickly, and so, I mean, so far they've just kind of been making fun of it, subtly, not outright, but I've been getting that feeling, and I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. Where 6 episodes into this show, Jimmy knew he was Superman the entire time, and Lois found out very quickly. I don't know if I like that. I can tell where they're going with this show. I can already tell where they're going. They really are wanting this to be an anime, like down to the vibes and the sidekicks and the friendships and the... Because if they went this whole season still not knowing he was Superman, there wouldn't be much more of a dynamic that they could push between the three of them. Easily. Without having to, write. So they make them find out that he's Superman. And I don't know. I feel like if I rewatched this show from episode 1, I don't know if I would have believed or have even gotten the vibe that Jimmy knew he was Superman the entire time. I don't think I would have gotten that or even known that. And again, to me, it's weird that why in this show is he like, oh, dude, we're best friends. We've known each other forever. Of course I knew you were Superman. But in like almost every other iteration of the Jimmy Olsen character, yeah, Jimmy and Clark are very good friends. Some might say even best friends even, and all this and that. And he's never known that he was Superman. I mean, yeah, there's certain incarnations where he finds out eventually that he was Superman, right? You know, like he gives him the, Superman watch and, all that. So there are incarnations where he does find out that he's Superman eventually. But not like this. Not like, oh, I always knew. I feel like that was just thrown in there for like a throwaway gag. Like, oh, that's funny, he always knew. But like, if you actually, that's what kills me about this show so far, is there's so much stuff that's thrown in here that like, you can tell is kind of thrown in for a laugh, or thrown in for this emotional pull, or thrown in for that. And it's meant for that moment. But if you actually pause, and you actually like, take this moment and think about it in depth, and think about it like, analytically, it doesn't work, or it doesn't make sense. I don't know. The Gorilla Grodd stuff was interesting. Apparently, he's going to be like an ally for them in the future or something. And now, the big Task Force X guy and Professor Ivo have teamed up now. So, that's going to be a thing in the coming episodes. I don't know. I just, it's still so weird to me. Like, with the way that Superman's powers work, they still don't make sense to me. Like, since the show has started, we've seen Clark slowly unlocking his powers as it goes on. Which, again, would have entirely made sense if we see that Clark didn't start using his powers until he was already an adult. But we saw him start using his powers when he was like at least 10 or 11 years old. How did it take 10 years for him to finally unlock heat vision? Like, I don't understand biologically how his powers are working and when it's choosing to unlock certain powers for him to use, and it doesn't make any sense at all. I hate it. I'm not a fan. Anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling. I keep telling myself, all right, next episode's gonna be better. Next episode will be better. Next episode, and it doesn't. And I hate these characters. I hate them. I can't stand them. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later.